Hey guys, Chris Piazza, Rush Fans Admin here. Welcome to Rush Roundtable number 102. On this episode, we're discussing songs that lie back to back on selected albums. So each of us picked three sets of two songs that we thought were really strategically placed by the band on their albums, and why. So let us know which pair of choices you agree with, or if you have more ideas, feel free to put them in the comments below. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Rush Roundtable. Today we have a pretty fun, interesting topic. We've each chosen three groups of two songs that we think are the best songs back to back on any album. So song 1 and 2, or song 6 and 7, whatever. We've got obviously 165 songs to choose from here, and how this is going to work is, like I said, each one of us has chosen three groups of two. We're going to go around the round table three times. And we're going to go in kind of what we deem an order of what we think is the most obvious choice of our set of three, and go kind of progress to what we think is the least obvious choice of our set of three that we've each chosen. So, Chris, in the top left-hand corner in what looks like a fishbowl, you can go first, my man.
Hey guys, nice to be back. It's been a while. My first choice, although mainstream, has to be Permanent Waves' first two songs, Spirit of Radio and Free Will. My first thought was because of their nostalgia for me. When I was a kid, just hearing them, they were the mainstream hits. You hear them on the radio. And I forgot that they were back to back on the album, so I thought that was really neat. And what a way to open the album, Spirit of Radio and Free Will. I mean, come on. So that's my explanation for my first choice. Pretty simple.
Yeah. We can, another thing, guys, we can comment too. If anyone has anything they want to say, agree, disagree, whatever, by all means do so after, an explanation. And I don't disagree with that at all. I think that is the most obvious choice in the entire catalog, I think. So what a way to kick this off.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah. All right. So my first is going to be, I brought props, from Signals, kicking off the album with Subdivisions and the Analog Kid. I think Subdivisions is probably one of the most relatable Rush songs to all of us as Rush fans. Just that synth opener is fantastic, and it just seems to pair so well with the Analog Kid for whatever reason. As with Chris's pick, it kicks off the record, but they just sound so well together. In my mind, they're always just a pair, Subdivisions and the Analog Kid, and they're just two beloved Rush tracks. I don't think I've ever met a Rush fan that doesn't like either one of these songs. So yeah, I just love them both, and I think they're a fantastic pair. What do you guys think?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that you took one of my picks, Ryan.
Uh-oh.
Which actually serves to validate the value of the pick. So
That's fair.
I've got backups.
That's all right. That's fair. All right, Jerry. Oh, Chris, what were you going to say?
No, go ahead. I was just going to agree with you. I think for some reason they pair in my head the lyrics of the Analog Kid, just describing an August afternoon, the simple small town visions that they create in that song. It's like the forgotten absorbed twin of Subdivisions in a weird way.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Totally.
Yeah. Cool. Jerry.
I don't care that Chris already picked mine, but my first is Spirit of Radio and Free Will. It's the obvious choice only because it's probably one of the best choices.
If not two of the most popular songs they've ever had.
They both just rock from second one until second last. So you really two songs in a row, two of their biggest hits back to back. Can't really ask for anything more.
And that whole album kills. So just to start with those two songs makes sense.
Yeah. It's a very good pick.
Disagree with me. I dare anyone.
My thoughts exactly.
All right, cool. Well, we welcome 3 new roundtable guests here at the bottom of the Zoom, David, Chris, and Rob. And thank you for joining us, all 3 of you. And we will let David go ahead.
All right. So my first pick is from Permanent Waves, only side 2, Entre Nous and Different Strings. And the reason I chose those is, first of all, when they did Entre Nous has always been one of my favorite songs. And when they did that on the Snakes and Arrows tour, I was thrilled to be able to see that live. And for me, both the songs really deal with the same kind of subject, what I'll call the essential necessity of human relationships, or the need for human relationship, but also at the same time, how difficult that can be and how complex that is. And but there's a different mood in both the songs a little bit. So I think just back to back, they really capture a singular theme in different ways.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. Cool.
For
Chris.
sure. Where to go here? It's funny. I'm going to go with my sort of most popular record, but possibly an obscure choice. Witch Hunt into Vital Signs, the end of Moving Pictures. Witch Hunt, super topical song still to this day. Possibly Neil's greatest, lyric. Ignorance, prejudice, and fear walk hand in hand. What are you going to do with that? And just its total mood, like what a vibe, and it's super heavy, and I'm pretty into the heavier side of the band. And then for me, Vital Signs is just like my favorite track on Moving Pictures, and it's kind of music nerdy, but it also relates to life lyrically. All the goofy references to the music studio, music effects, but also how they affect how the song works and how we might think about life even. So that's my first pick.
Yeah, no argument from me. Any other thoughts from the group?
I was just thinking as you said that, Chris. I didn't think of those. They're probably the least mainstream of Moving Pictures, but they're beautiful together. And when they did them live in Cleveland in 2010 or 11,
yes, unbelievable.
Oh, how they flowed was beautiful. And the lyrics in Vital Signs, talking about how we have to deviate from the norm, just following the lyrics in Witch Hunt, I think really go well together. I thought that was very interesting of them.
Yeah, and that's totally an aspect of all of my picks, is that kind of parallel. It's cool.
Cool. All right, Rob.
Hey guys. Okay, my pick is, I'm going back to the beginning, Fly By Night. First record with Neil, of course, and the 2 songs I chose are, of course, the title track, Fly By Night, and Bytor in the Snow Dog. And the reason for that is Fly By Night was sort of like a very straight ahead tune, and it was almost like a reflection of Neil, his sort of involvement with the band. It was kind of an established band, and he's sort of the new blood, providing a new direction. He was assigned to write the lyrics. So it was kind of like a fresh start for the band. And then you have the introduction of some humor into the mix, because they're all like into comedy and Monty Python. So Bytor and the Snow Dog was sort of that sort of introduction into the comedic side of the band, with, Bytor being Getty and the Snow Dog being Alex. And of course, they've always had that rivalry as, classmates. So they brought that into the band. So, and it's also like the first tune that's the multi-sectional type of tune. So I like the longer songs. Being, I'm a player and a musician, I immediately gravitate to the music side of things. So those are my 2 choices. I just felt like it was a good starting point, even for just discussing, back to back in the album format type of discussion we're having. I thought it was a great sort of start to that, and even for the band itself, starting that process.
We talked about this in a prior roundtable. I think Jerry, you were there. Are you guys familiar with the endless chimes at the end of Bytor and the Snow Dog? How if you play it on a certain record player, the chimes just ring out and ring out and ring out. So I feel like if you do that after have By Turn so long, and then you play Fly By Night. I feel like that'd be a nice little segue, little cool little. Yeah, good choice.
I like it.
The other thing too, I was going to say too, is like that sort of battle idea of Bytor. So like on this song, I feel like Alex was the victor, but then later on the second record with Caress of Steel, kind of, you know, Ged kind of gets, you know, his licks in. So I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is Victor a joke? Are you making a joke about Alex's solo album?
Yes. Yes.
Was that a pun? Yeah. All right, let's go through a second time. Chris.
Oh, my second round, kind of a deeper choice. Not that it gets any more mainstream than Spirit of Radio and Free Will, but Power Windows, and Ryan, I might have stolen one of yours.
Nope, I have 0 Power Windows in here. Actually.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh,
But anyway,
Is that possible?
I thought there were quite a few good pairs on Power Windows, from Big Money and Grand Designs to Middletown Dreams and most. But I went with Manhattan Project and Marathon. And I'm not sure why, but I love both songs, and I didn't know they were back to back on the album. I just really love those songs, to put it easily. The way Neil writes about the Manhattan Project, all the brightest boys to play with the biggest toys, and going into the theme of Marathon, I just thought they were really incredible lyrically, and they flowed well together. Good placement on that album.
Yep, very good choice. You know, it's funny because okay, we have 2 Chris's on this episode. I was actually talking to third Chris, Chris Springer, who also comes on Roundtables. He said that would have been one of his choices too, Manhattan Project in the Marathon. So I think it's a fantastic choice. I was talking about this with him the other day, and yeah.
Yes, I like it too, because it's like, it sort of encompasses like an epic kind of arcing song, and then this really driving rocker, you know, and they sort of have it's like a jab and then the slam, you know. It's like, if you're thinking about 1-2 punches, like, and Marathon is just like one of the best tracks ever. So
Yeah, I also thought it was interesting how in Manhattan Project, the nuclear bombs, the wartime creations were designed to beat the other nations. And then that whole idea was, you know, if you could come up with it first, you kind of won in a weird way back in the time. I think it was the Cold War, correct me if I'm wrong. But then to go into Marathon, where the lyrics are a test of ultimate will, the heartbreak climb uphill, just, it's all a marathon. It was interesting how,
yeah,
you know, it really was a competition. So,
oh, for sure. It's a huge race.
It's a good point. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. You're making quite the connections there, Chris, with these songs, lyrically. All right, so for my number 2, you guys remember this?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So, yes, the Caravan and BU2B single, that is. But yes, from Clockwork Angels, the opener, Caravan, into BU2B. Now, I just love the heaviness of Caravan and the heaviness of BU2B. They're just such freaking bangers. I mean, the whole album of Clockwork Angels, other than, you know, 1 or 2 songs, are just bangers, right? Really hard-hitting, heavy songs. But I think just the fact that these were grouped together as singles when they were released in, 2010 or 2011, before the album came out in 2012, thematically with the concept album, obviously they just go hand in hand. They progress perfectly into each other, as do the whole album. But I just always felt that these 2 songs are meant to be listened to back to back, Caravan and BU2B, and they're just 2 awesome songs. And yeah, I just love them both.
It's funny, Ryan, that was one of my top choices, but I cut it. But very good pick. I don't know why they'll always be paired for me, even if they weren't in the album next to each other, because they were just released together. And what an exciting time in my youth, you know, when those were released.
Well, same, yeah. I'm in the same boat.
Sure.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. to hear that stuff and to digest it, to get to hear it live on the Time Machine tour, and then to get to hear them live again.
Clockwork Angels being such a fantastic record, even if being their last, I mean, it is one of their best. And these two songs just get you pumped up for what's to come too, on that record. So,
and that Bridgie solo in Caravan is just unbelievable. Not to go off about the song, but and for me, I'm sorry to go off, but it was I was just old enough they were my heroes at the time, to come out with new music in their superior golden years was really cool to see.
100%.
For sure.
If you read, for me, hearing those songs on the Time Machine tour and not really knowing the story, the context, and then the album, and then when I later read the book, it opened up the meaning of those songs and their connection that Ryan talked about even more significantly. I thought it was you really saw the whole picture there of somebody leaving, on the Caravan, can't stop thinking big, but then this reflection, I was brought up to believe, all these things were, we're all for the best and whatnot. So it was, what a great pick.
I like the fact that it's kind of like a return to the form of the proggy side of the band, because we're so used to hearing the arranged music, because they really wanted to focus on arrangement with all their songwriting, rather than doing the long form type of thing, which they felt they exhausted. And to come back to that was great. And actually, I wasn't used to it. It took me a couple of times to go through the album to kind of really get used to it, So for me, it was an adjustment period, even though it was the last record. I never got to see it played live, which is my own fault. I didn't go, but it's just, I felt it was a great sort of comeback and then a capper to the whole collective of their anthology.
100%. Yeah. Cool. Jerry, number 2.
I'm going to go with the opening tracks of Counterparts, Animate and Stick It Out, because I think that, it's just two rockers right in a row. And this is when Rush came back to, being a guitar band after the 80s. Not that there's anything wrong with the 80s stuff, Ryan, don't get me wrong. It's just that, they plugged in. Alex is just plugged in, loud and proud.
No reverb.
Yeah, he just went like straight back to the old school stuff for me anyway. And I just think the two of them that's really my criteria, is that the songs just kick ass. That's really all it is. You know what I mean? They sound great next to each other.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, that was on my short list for sure. That, and Counterparts for me was near the end of my first move away from the band as a fan. And so I was like, whatever, when it first came out, but now they're like so perfectly awesome. And that Caveman, right? Kevin Shirley produced that, and he notoriously battled Alex over Alex wanting all his effects, and
that was the reverb comment.
It proves the point by those two tunes being so massively awesome.
Yeah, I considered Counterparts to some degree, and I just couldn't. Animate is like a top 10 Rush song in my opinion, but like I couldn't pull the trigger and stick it out for whatever reason. But yeah, I get it. It's a good pick. All right, David.
Okay, my number 2, going back to 1975, Crest Steel, Bastille Day, and I Think I'm Going Bald. And the reason I picked those two is it sort of captures to me the personality of the band. On one hand, they're very serious. Right? They're very serious people. They're serious musicians. On the other hand, they said they've never taken themselves too seriously. So first you have this song about the French Revolution, the quote from attributed Marie Antoinette, this very proggy musical arrangement, lyrics and melody and everything. And then that's followed up with, some guys in their early 20s at that time talking about growing old and afraid they're going bald, and just it's kind of a funny, rocky, straightforward song. So it was an interesting follow-up from Bastille Day to go into I Think I'm Going Bald. And also they're just both great songs to me. And so, yeah.
At first I was like, and I looked at Jerry, and Jerry was like, what are you talking about? But after that explanation, yeah, I can kind of get behind that. That was, cool. Good pick.
It's the band. Yeah.
Yeah. It basically, like what you said, it just totally encompasses them, like historical, serious song, and then just like ridiculously fun and ridiculous song. I mean, afterward, I think I'm going, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I had a hard time for myself picking things from the older part of the catalog only because for whatever reason I'm not seeing all those connections. So this is great to have that sort of input. I love it.
For sure. Well, you're up. You're number 2.
Oh, I'm number 2. All right, I'm going Emotional Heart of Vapor Trails to me is Secret Touch into Earthshine. I think that it represents a powerful pairing of feelings and ideas. Like I see a lot of personal autobiographical inferences in the music in that one. I think it's hard for any deep Rush fan to not see those things if you know the story. And I think Secret Touch is like Neil coming back to feeling like he can love again. And, the way out is the way in. It's the only way out is through, right? Like we have to, the crucible of life, like we have to go through some sort of fire to come out of it. And then Earthshine is just the inspiration, like of all of, what he's always been about, which is the natural world and how we fit into it and what are the greater things that we can draw meaning from. And then I also think that there's some healing going on there because of his, new relationship with Carrie and then the tragedy. And I think that he's playing that emotion through those 2 songs lyrically, and the music just absolutely rocks. Like they're both, Secret Touch has this amazing like kind of epic arc to it, and it gets really heavy, and the jam at the end, especially digga 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 down, you can hear Geddy's bass string bouncing off the pickups at the end of the that's what that sound is, by the way. And then Earthshine is just one of the all-time heaviest tracks of theirs, and it's just super powerful. So
yep,
there you go.
They definitely encompass Vapor Trails, that's for sure. Good picks. Cool. Rob?
Yeah. My number 2 is Caressa Steel, and I went with The Necromancer and The Fountain of Lameth. So I went with those because now we have 2 epic collective tunes musically and of course lyrically. There's nods to Tolkien, which they all have that affinity for. They're fans of those books, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. So literally, in terms of the lyrics, they brought that into the fold, their common bond with the 3 of them. And then also, too, the introduction of Hugh Syme doing the artwork for the band. And then, it's kind of like an obscure, record in some ways because it's got those 2 big epic collective tunes on here. And it's kind of like the obscure album. But for me, as a player and as a musician, I just really got into like what they were doing, like with say Dictax and Norpence, which is the first like sort of anagram usage on different songs. Like Dictax is like addicts, and then Norpence is parents. So there's like this duality of like teacher, parent, just like sort of in the cycle of life type of thing, from like birth to death kind of and sentiment with the Fountain of Lameth from the beginning, the in the valley to the fountain at the end. And then like the idea of birth to death and even going into resurrection or rebirth, So I just picked those 2 songs because of just the musical content. I just really got into what the guys were doing. So that really kind of resonated with me going back through the catalog and listening to it again, just reminding myself of just like how much they were doing musically in the beginning, and then just the expansion of their equipment and their gear. And like I said, what Neil was writing about and just going into these more literary types of concepts in his lyrical writing, it was getting deeper compared to Fly By Night, which I appreciate. So there you go. Those are my 2.
Awesome.
Cool. Chris?
My third and final choice was difficult, and Chris Bates almost stole choice. I actually was going to go with Secret Touch and Earthshine, but I decided to go with Vapor Trails and Secret Touch, one notch up. And although Ghost Rider and Vapor Trail are sister songs on that album for me, I thought Vapor Trail and Secret Touch went well together. And this is the kind of, Neil said in Beyond the Lighted Stage, those who would dare go near me at the time, this is that album I feel Deep Rush fans dare go near because it's so dark and it's such a journey through Neil's pain, really. Even in, I forget who said it, maybe Chris, but the way Geddy and Alex play, it's just an angry energy that produced some of the most beautiful work I've ever seen. I probably won't hear anything like this album in my life. And it's different than the rest, something about it. Maybe in its darkness, maybe in its truth, I don't know. But I find that Neil in Vapor Trail speaks a lot about what was and it's gone. It's a vapor trail now. Traces of transitory light, nothing left but phases that vaporize the memories. But it's almost like he wanted us to know that he was out of there. It was gone. The rest, what he knew was just a memory and a vapor. Whereas Secret Touch, it kind of digs into his heart a little more. The lyrics are out of sync with the rhythm of my own reactions. He doesn't know how he's going to react. He doesn't know who he is anymore. It was all left behind. So I think the whole album takes on a different meaning, especially since Neil's death. If you want to consider this album a comfort to those going through grievance, you can, but if I may be so bold to say that, but I thought these two songs just flowed really beautifully together.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Everyone
again,
agrees.
Way out is a way in. Just telling himself, if I look inward enough, I'll get out of this, simply just telling himself over and over as the lyrics did.
All right, for my number 3, I really tried to go deep here. So I had a bunch of different considerations, and I was thinking, should I be funny and pick Ty Shannon High Water for Jerry? I could make an argument for that.
I almost did that.
Oh, you could not.
I really
you
could
not make an argument for that.
Maybe
No.
you can make me do that at the end in honorable mentions, but I decided to be serious and I went with from Presto, The Pass and Warpaint. And you'll see on our channel next week on our Presto deep dive where I talk about Warpaint. I really dive into it there. I won't do that here, but I did make a connection between the two songs on the deep dive, and I'll do it again here. And I really think that The Pass, and this didn't even come to me until I started researching Warpaint and really diving into the lyrics and such. But The Pass dealing with, the teen suicide aspect, and it's really dark, and there isn't really any kind of solution posed to that. It just talks about it, and maybe it's comforting, maybe it isn't. But Warpaint, The Pass it leads into Warpaint, and Warpaint's kind of dealing with, the mirror always lying, and, kind of be who you are. And I feel like Warpaint is the solution to the problem in The Pass. And I always felt we all know what The Pass is about, right? But I never really made that connection until last night. And now I really feel like this was intentional. They were intentionally put back to back on this record because to me, it feels like a solution to the problem. And I've always felt that Neil, he does this in his writing. He'll provide a solution to a problem, whether it be back to back on the same record, whether it be a record after, or whether it be years down the line, right? With songs, he provides solutions to problems that he brings up in his lyrics. And I just think it just clicked to me last night when we did this deep dive when we recorded it. But The Pass and Warpaint, I mean, what do you guys think?
It's hard to add to that. That was great.
I guess what I could say is go back and listen to these two songs in a row, and it's obviously my least obvious choice. But it became really obvious to me as I started listening to it. So I guess go back and listen to them and see what you think is what I would say.
I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah, war paint. Yeah, I mean, it's all about that teen struggle, right? High school, how just hellish high school is, and all that, and how that's connected to teen suicide and whatnot. Yeah, that's a great connection.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the probably a few. If I had to pick three, one of those three would be the past lyrics. Someone set a bad example, made surrender seem all right. The act of a noble warrior who lost the will to fight.
Right.
That ties beautifully into the soldier in war paint. Boy before the mirror checks his camouflage.
And boys and girls together, like
exactly.
Let's do it together as a society,
All puffed up with vanity. Checks his armor. It's all smoke and mirrors in a way.
Yeah.
Even just that sentiment of like paint the mirror black, just forget about the mirror. Don't look at it. It's not helping you.
Yep.
Chris, cool. your lyrical recall is very impressive.
Oh, thank you. It is. I've spent a mental amount of time studying these.
Really?
All right, Jerry.
Well, in stark contrast to Ryan's excellent, discussion of those two songs, I'm going with Chemistry and Digital Man because they both groove really hard. That's really basically it.
They both groove really hard.
Great tracks.
I don't know. I love how Digital Man opens up with that drum fill. And I think they both have really good grooves and they sound really good back to back on the record. I sound so shallow compared to what Ryan just said.
I feel like everything on Signals, you could argue though, everything just sounds great back to back. Signals just flows perfectly.
Yeah, it's true.
Signals just flows really well.
It's funny too because like there's very few Rush tunes that have a fade in,
Right.
Oh yeah.
So that's and then the fade in with Neil is like supreme.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, David.
Okay, this was hard, man. So many choices, but I decided to go to the very end and go with Wish Them Well and The Garden. Wish Them Well, and of course, you read the book, there's that fight at the end between the watchmaker and the anarchist. And I see this somewhat as autobiographical, with Neil and playing off binaries, in his own intellectual journey, very much like Hemispheres as well, and of course the message in the song Wish Them Well is that, just turn your back, walk away, all you can do is wish them well. Don't get caught up in it. But then how that leads then into The Garden, what do you get caught up with at the end? Well, what matters? Where the value is, your garden to nurture and protect. So you can get all caught up in all of these struggles with people like the watchmaker and the anarchist, or you can tend your own garden. And to me, that was, a message on so many levels that everybody in this roundtable knows how that just brought, there could have been a better ending to Rush's catalog than The Garden. And I thought those two songs played off each other. And they also, like every other Rush song, just really rock. So, in their own way. It's not
to steal from Jerry. To steal from Jerry's answers.
Yeah.
they just rock.
They just rock.
They just rock. Yeah. I had a feeling someone might pick Wish Them Well in The Garden tonight too. So yeah, good choice. Chris.
All right, I'm going. Man, you scared me there, Ryan, when you held up Presto, because I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, what'd you pick?
I went available, hand over fist available light, because I've just had this like re-explosion love affair with Presto over the last few months here in my listening. And as a parent and a lot of other things, of course, it's sometimes pretty obvious in those lyrics that this is a message. And, if you think about where Neil's life was, this is a record to his daughter. This is messages to Selena, like, hey, kid, keep your head on like this, and you won't get so beat up when you go through all this BS that we have to go through when we start getting into our teen years, right? So all these songs, your point about the past and war paint being connected are completely Same. So Hand Over Fist, I mean, it's, again, just super topical for today. Like, let's drop whatever angst we have towards each other about these meaningless things and try to connect again, and like, look at those opportunities to connect as ways to grow and ways to help yourself. And then, of course, just the total zen of available light. Like, don't you get caught up in this other stuff. Like, just keep your eye on like this, if you can, on this larger thing that, like, just look around you and take it in right now and be here present in the moment. And I think it's like a great end cap to, that whole record, and especially the way it kicks off with Show Don't Tell into Chain Lightning. It's like, I mean, so anyway, I've been going deep on Presto lately, and so that's what I think about those two.
Good pick. Cool. Rob, you're number 3.
All right. Well, I went with album 3, Farewell to Kings, and also the 2 tracks, Farewell to Kings and Xanadu. So, of course, Farewell to Kings is, the shorter of the 2 songs. It's kind of like I haven't really talked about the lyrics too much. I'm going more towards the music, but you can't, dismiss the lyrics. But this kind of, for me, felt like it was becoming a little more political. The idea of like sort of tearing down power structures, untapped potential, old versus young, that sort of thing. And then with the first 2 choices I picked were more, I guess, like fantasy based in the lyrical approach. So it feels like lyrically he was getting a little more defined on this particular album. I could be wrong, but that's my impression. And with Xanadu, it goes back to the longer tunes, which I always appreciate. There's so much in there. Of course, going through the Samuel Taylor Coleridge poem, and with Kubla Khan, who's the grandson of Genghis Khan, and his palace, and the River Alf that runs around the property and so on. So it kind of brings back in some of the fantasy and, mythology in the lyrics. And then just with the music paired to that, it's so potent. I mean, I really, really got into Alex's guitar work on this one as well. I mean, it's again, the expansion musically just continues and continues. So I kind of been on this kick of just kind of going back and like looking at the musical growth of the band. And of course, you can't ignore the lyrics, but just the complete package, it just was starting to tighten even more. And these are guys that just didn't have a lot of time to write music. They were always touring and everything. So to come up with this kind of material with just the schedule they had with touring, and that's a whole other subject, but I just really got into everything. I mean, even Neil's percussion work was incredible. The expansion of his kit was starting to happen. So just a lot of exciting things in these early records. And I just found myself going there recently with this topic. So those are my picks.
Alex's solo at the end of Xanadu remains one of my favorites. Just that building, and there's just, it takes you places. It really does. I love that solo.
Yep. It's so expansive. It's great.
Yeah. You could go anywhere with A Farewell to Kings too, in terms of back-to-back songs. I mean, because Xanadu flows into Closer to the Heart, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then Cinderella Man, but all right. So we do have a few more minutes that we can run through a few honorable mentions. If anyone has any other honorable mentions that you want to read off, by all means do so, just without explanation, so we can do it quick.
We just all say them at the same time.
No, we'll go
1, 2, 3.
We'll go around the round table, but so we'll start with Chris. If you have any, go ahead. Piazza. Chris Piazza.
Songs that I'm into, or
No, like songs back to back that you considered for this that you didn't actually honorable mentions without explanation.
I've got the other 50 right here. Hold on.
Yep.
I had Force 10 and Time Stands Still, I thought were 2 great tracks on Hold Your Fire to start that album. I thought they were killer. What great songs.
That's it. That's all you got? You have any more? You have 49 other ones?
Dreamline and Bravado.
Yeah.
Roll the Bones intro song. I could go all night. so don't stick to me. But
Okay. Well, I know I actually had a group of 2 from Hold Your Fire as well, Prime Mover and Lock and Key. I considered Far Cry and Armor and Sword. And yes, Jerry, I did consider Ty Shannon High Water.
You did not. No, you didn't.
I did.
That's it. No.
I literally wrote it right here.
I know you wrote it down.
Bottom. Ty
I know
Shannon
you
High
wrote it
Water.
down. You wrote it down, but I know you didn't actually consider it.
I very much considered that. Yes, I just think they go well together. Now I don't think they're the best or anything like that. You know,
Right,
that's kind
yeah.
of what we're. But
Yeah.
they do go really well together. So that was why.
I'm just writing down. You're off my Christmas list. Hold on.
Oh,
No Christmas card for Ryan.
That's all I had. So you're next. Did you have any
I had
other one?
YYZ and Limelight, Beneath, Between, and Behind, and Bytor and the Snow Dog, Red Sector A and the Enemy Within, and Clockwork Angels and the Anarchist.
Cool. Good choices, David.
No comment.
Okay, yeah, I've got about 1 million too, but I'm going to keep it to just a few. Chronological order, nod back to the first album, Need Some Love and Take a Friend. Fly By Night and Making Memories. And then zooming up, last one I'll mention from Snakes and Arrows, Faithless and Bravest Face.
Awesome.
I went like this. When you mentioned Need Some Love and Take a Friend. Oh, take a friend, man. Take a Friend to me is 165 of 165 in terms of Rush songs.
Wow.
I don't enjoy it.
It's your,
But a nod to the
Shannon.
first album.
But
Yeah.
they do go well together. Chris.
Amazing.
They do.
pretty
They
cool, right?
they both
okay.
they both stink. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Nobody said it, but Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta.
Yep.
It's,
Mhm.
you know, like the number 1-2 punch. I mean, it contains everything that you need to know. Other ones that I had on my list, Mission, Into Turn the Page. Just, what are you going to say about that? Shit, what was the other one? Dang it, I just had it.
Mission's one of my favorite of all time too.
Oh man, that song.
What a song!
Forget about
Live on Snakes and Arrows changed
Yeah.
me.
Oh, that was it. My live, I have a triple play. I have one thing from the live record that I think is the best thing. The Grace Under Pressure Tour, YYZ, Temples of Syrinx, Tom Sawyer, fastest YYZ into the tempo of Temples of Syrinx. It's just killing. They're like, oh, and it's just this crazy ride, and then this huge stop, and then Tom Sawyer. Forget it. You're done.
Wild transition.
Nice.
Yeah.
To the live albums, I like it. Rob, any honorable mentions?
I had
I would say Hope and Faithless from Snakes and Arrows. It's like I would say as another pick, all the back-to-back songs on Exit Stage Left. I love that album. I just love that album. You know, the way they do Xanadu. I mean, there's just too many. You know, I mean, I like All the World to Stage as well, but Exit Stage Left, the way they did those songs, hearing Beneath, Between, Behind again. I mean, just any back-to-back off that record, I'm thrilled with. So I'll just say
Dane
that.
and Trees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
You know, I want to just throw this at you guys. I don't know what other roundtable topic I could possibly say this on other than when we talk about the songs, but the larger bowl into Spindrift. Does anybody else hear a little bit of the intro of Spindrift at the end of the larger bowl?
I had to listen closer at that.
Go back
I'm
and
gonna go
listen
back and listen to
to
that.
it. I maybe it's just the way, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way the music was downloaded to my iPhone. I have no idea, but I feel like they almost put a little bit of the intro of, because you know how the Spindrift opens, right? It's really, really soft, and it kind of gets, yeah. I feel like I hear a little bit of that at the end of the larger bowl. So I don't know, just something to consider the next time you listen to those two songs.
Two unbelievable songs. Too.
Those that are watching this, please feel free to continue this discussion in the comments, because I'm sure there's a million different combination of tracks that we could, talk about. I'd love to continue the discussion with our viewers. Best songs back to back on any album. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time on Rush Roundtable. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.